Hey everybody, Sia here. A while ago I talked about who I thought were the worst characters in Samurai Shodown 2019. But what about the other end of the spectrum? What makes the strongest characters in the game stand out so much? Before we get to who these characters are, I think it's important to lay out what makes a strong character in SamSho 2019. Since getting back into the game in 2023 and playing with some of the best players in the world, I believe I've come up with a list of qualifications for what makes a strong character in this game. The best characters have all, or at least most, of these traits. The first thing, high damage output. This might seem like a very redundant point given the series is known for its high damage, but trust me, it's relevant. Some characters have a higher damage output than others, and the faster you're killing someone, the less chance of them making a comeback. Another important point related to this one is having high consistent damage. For example, in the last video, I mentioned that Wu's damage potential is very high, but the amount of steps needed to reach that point where she can land that damage are high too. Meanwhile, there are characters that can consistently take a third of your health off of a long poke, or even more off of a strong jump in. If you can net high damage and can land it easily, you're in contention for being one of the strongest characters in the game. The second thing is having quality normals. Now, this is kind of a vague point, so I'll try to explain it more. This can come in a variety of ways. Do you have larger buttons that can hold down neutral? Do you have oppressive jump in normals? Can your normals convert into good damage? How far do you need to be to land that damage? Do you have a fast, oppressive normal that's difficult to react to? How hard is it to punish this normal, and does the reward outweigh the risk of being punished? How well can you combo into your weapon flip? Characters that don't have great range on their normals have to make it up in other ways, like good mobility or safety. The things that make Baiken's normals so good differ from what makes Kazuki's normals so good. Regardless, both characters are extremely strong. The third point is having a strong weapon flip. Majority of weapon flips in this game work as combo enders, and that's good. This includes throw into weapon flip, which isn't high damage, but it is still good enough to swing games in your favor. Every top tier and majority of high tiers are able to combo into their weapon flip with ease. Having extra utility on top of that, like the weapon flip being an effective anti-air or whiff punish tool, is even better. There are weapon flips that can punish from more than halfway across the screen. While being able to combo it is great, anybody that can use it for more than that are worth looking at. A fourth, but maybe more subtle quality, is how well the character can control the pace of the match. This can be done in different ways. Baiken has her long normals and tatami gaishi. Hibiki has her fast pink slashes. Shizamaru has his air mobility. The list goes on. In a comeback heavy game like SamSho, being able to shut down a chunk of what the opponent can do and make comebacks harder is a very big deal. Now that we've gone over that, we can look at who the top tiers of SamSho 2019 are. Just like with the low tiers, these characters were selected through multiple top player tier lists, as well as my own opinion. The top 4 in the game are Shizamaru, Hibiki, Kazuki, and Baiken. I also wanted to go a step further and talk about some other notably strong characters in the game. Haomaru, Sogetsu, Jubei, Genjiro, Yoshitora, and Nakaruru. Just a disclaimer, this isn't a definite top 10, nor is it ordered. There are other high tier characters in the game, some that could even be stronger than some of the ones that I picked for this video. These characters were picked mainly because I thought they'd be interesting to talk about. But besides that, let's just say that some characters are harder to research than others, and I've put off this video for long enough. With that out of the way, let's get started. The main character of the Samurai Shodown series, Haomaru is a simple yet effective character that has everything you need to be strong in SamSho 2019. His balanced, Shoto-like kit lets him play well for most ranges, and while his lows aren't anything special, Haomaru packs some serious damage to more than make up for that. This will probably be the easiest character for me to explain in this video. Haomaru isn't the type of character that's hiding some dirty trick behind his back. He's very straightforward, but what he has is thankfully pretty good. All of his slash normals are standard, but still solid. For some examples, 5B is your standard long poke, 2B has less range but it's special cancelable, his signature 5C deals great damage and is a great button for recoil canceling, 6-6B can easily hit confirm into his specials and weapon flip, and it's another great button for recoil canceling. Perhaps his most notable normal in this game is his 6-6A. Despite being nerfed after Season 1, it's Hao's best way of moving in thanks to its fast startup, good disjoint, undeflectable status, and being relatively hard to punish. Prepare to hear lots of whenever you fight Haomaru. A big part of what makes Haomaru so good is his excellent recoil cancel game. Haomaru's recoil cancels make his 5C and 6-6B excellent mix-up tools despite being very punishable on paper. Recoil canceling into heavy DP can be risky, but it's a great call-out option if you have the read. Haomaru's recoil cancels help make his footsies game harder to contest, since the opponent is forced to guess when to actually punish 5C or 6-6B, and what's the best punish for the specific follow-up. If Haomaru guesses wrong though, he might end up dead, so don't get too careless. Next we have Haomaru's weapon flip, which happens to be one of the best weapon flips in the entire game. With its great range and startup, it's an excellent multi-purpose weapon flip that's great as a combo tool, a whip punish tool, and an anti-air. There are quite a few seemingly safe long-range options in the game that Hao can punish on reaction with his weapon flip. Mastering Hao's weapon flip will give you the edge not many characters have. Haomaru's weapon flip alone is what helps him stand his ground against even the strongest in the cast. Haomaru isn't without his flaws, and while they're few, they're definitely felt when playing him. None of Haomaru's slashes hit low, which makes him more susceptible to getting deflected. Haomaru also has probably one of, if not the worst, slide in the game. While it can knock down, it's about twice as punishable as the average slide on block. The absolute best you can space it to be is minus 21 frames on block, which still puts it as more punishable than most unspaced slides. 6-6A and to an extent 6-6B help give Haomaru a strong way to get into the opponent's face, but don't count on getting many knockdowns off of an opponent not blocking low. It can be harder opening up more defensive opponents because of these problems, but when Haomaru manages to find an opening, you're going to feel it. While maybe not having some really dirty tools you would expect from the top tiers of the game, Haomaru is as solid as you can get. There isn't a matchup in the game that he particularly struggles in, and he's a very rewarding character whenever there's an opening. If you're a fan of Shodos, you're someone with excellent fundamentals, or want an easy to learn character, you can't go wrong with Haomaru. A regular in the series, Jubei is quite the outlier when compared to the other characters here. His kit is very simple, even more so than Haomaru's. He has an okay fireball, a DP strictly for combos, a mash attack you will rarely ever see, high damage but risky to use counters, and a very mediocre weapon flip. He does have some decent mix-up options with his high-low game and counters, but certainly not on the level of some other high to top tiers. So what exactly is it that makes Jubei so good? Well, with strong normals and easy to convert damage, Jubei is one of the strongest defensive characters in the game. Jubei's presence is well known in mid-screen, and he heavily rewards those with strong fundamentals. You'd be surprised at how far good normals can take you. While Jubei doesn't have much in his kit, he does have two god normals with Far 5B and 2B. These are very long-range, disjointed normals that are easy to confirm into Jubei's heavy DP. It's great damage considering it comes from a normal, let alone a far normal which most characters can't combo from. While his DP isn't an anti-air, Jubei makes up for it with very strong air-to-air normals with his jumping B and jumping A. On top of all this, Jubei also has a semi-safe approach option with 6-6C that also doubles as an anti-air. From his 6-6B, 2A, and 2C, Jubei has many great normals for multiple situations. It's a good thing he does because his offensive game isn't anything all that special. A big part of that has to do with his weapon flip being one of the worst in the game. It's the only safe on block weapon flip, which is actually pretty cool. But this is offset by its very slow startup, giving Jubei no practical way of comboing into it. He doesn't even have throw into weapon flip, which most of the cast can do. Also, please don't whiff it because there are very easy round-ending punishes that can be used against it. Without a consistent weapon flip, the threat of losing your weapon against Jubei is lower, so it's a lot harder for Jubei to create checkmate scenarios. Jubei's weapon flip is relegated to a bit of chip damage to keep the opponent away, or for the hardest of anti-air reads. Both of these are still tough to do because of its slow startup. It's not all bad though. Jubei does have a longer rage timer than the majority of the cast, so while he can't use his weapon flip much, he can enjoy the damage boost from rage more than other characters can. And his usual mid-screen combo is even better when he's in rage. Jubei might not be able to checkmate using his weapon flip, but he can keep control of the round by sitting on a massive life lead. Jubei is one of the most straightforward characters in the game. This normally would be considered a flaw, but Jubei's game plan fits perfectly in SamSho 2019, allowing him to keep up with virtually everyone in the cast. A perfect character for beginners and those that have excellent fundamentals. First debuting in SamSho 2 and has been a mainstay since, Genjiro is a Shodown-like rushdown character with an assortment of close-range mix-up options. If you were around during or heard stories about Season 1, you might remember Genjiro being an absolute menace that dominated the meta. Genjiro's Season 2 nerfs brought him down to more reasonable levels, but he can still prove to be a big threat. As the Ken to Hamaru's Ryu, Genjiro's normals are fairly standard but good overall. His 5C is similar to Hamaru's, which is to say, it's really good. It's slightly faster while dealing the same amount of damage, and it's a great button for recoil canceling with Genjiro being plus 11 on recoil cancel. Many other normals like his 2C, 5B, and 2B are only minus 1 after recoil canceling, all worth considering when going into his mix-up options. His overhead is one of the better ones in the game, thanks to its good range and hopping animation in its startup. Neutral Jumping C is an excellent mid-range tool and air-to-air, a great option for when Genjiro wants to stay in place and wall up. His 5D is not as scary as it was back in Season 1 since it's no longer an overhead, but it's still a fast, relatively safe option that's also an easy confirm into his specials on hit. 660 is a great approach option, can be spaced out to be safe, and its hitbox is high enough that it can catch aerial opponents too. In my opinion, the star normal in Genjiro's kit is his 3D. A very active low that knocks down, it's a great pressure tool up close since it's cancelable into his specials, and as a meaty it can be up to 0 on block. Be afraid of this normal. As I said, most of Genjiro's normals are fairly standard on their own, but they mesh well with his mix-ups and Oki. For Genjiro's specials, his DP is one of the best in the game. Great anti-air thanks to its fast startup and hitbox, also good as a combo ender. The rest of his specials gear more towards his scary mix-up game. His Fireball is pretty bad as a zoning tool due to its startup and not being able to reach full screen, but by holding the button it'll bounce on the opponent on block and fall down as an overhead, creating a guessing situation. Honestly, it still isn't that great of a mix-up tool in mid-screen, but in the corner it has value in keeping the opponent in place. Slash of 100 Demons is a decent hit grab that also has extra value in chip damage on block. Zenblade is a fairly standard command grab with good damage and offers an extra option to keep the opponent guessing during mix that isn't as risky as a normal throw. Arguably, Genjiro's most important special is his Rekka Triple Death Hack. Explaining how this move works in death is a long and slightly confusing process, so bear with me, I'll try to keep this simple. Triple Death Hack is a 3-part Rekka that works overtime as a combo ender and multi-level mix-up tool. On top of being a left-right mix-up tool thanks to being able to cross up with it, the second and third parts of Triple Death Hack can also be delayed to further confuse the opponent. While the Rekka is punishable on block, the multiple ways Genjiro can mix it up makes this easier said than done. There's so much more that can be said about the uses for this move, but we'll move on. There are few characters that can build up mental stack like Genjiro can up close. With how good Genjiro is up close, it shouldn't be a surprise that he has little in the way of long-ranged options. As previously said, Genjiro's Fireball is weak as a zoning tool, and he's often going to lose the Fireball war. While he can compete in mid-range to an extent, far normals like his Far 5B are below average in range. With the notable exception of his Neutral Jumping C, Genjiro's air normals are overall mediocre due to their range. Genjiro has a harder time jumping in or exchanging air-to-airs. Genjiro prefers keeping himself and you on the ground as much as possible. Thankfully for him, if he wasn't good at that, he wouldn't be featured in this video. For those that love getting in and overwhelming the opponent, or if you're a fan of Shodos with some flair to them, give Genjiro a try. One of the main characters of SamSho 4, Sogetsu is a set play character that wants to bully his opponents with his incredibly annoying Vortex. Fighting Sogetsu will test your patience, since once you're knocked down, you're going to be working hard to figure out how to get out of his mix. Some of Sogetsu's normals are strange, but very effective. They complement his zoning well. His 5B has good range and is far cancelable. His 5C is high risk, but with its lunging animation, it can be a really good surprise option. On hit, the opponent will always wall bounce and knock down, allowing Sogetsu to start or continue his vortex. 66C is a running version of his 5C that doesn't have the lunging animation, which can make it a pretty good poke. Sogetsu's 2C has excellent range, hits low, and knocks down on hit. On top of all this, 2C is also recoil cancelable, allowing Sogetsu to frame trap off it into a water pillar. Should the opponent manage to get out of Sogetsu's vortex, Sogetsu's normals are at least good enough that he can hold his own until he finds an opening again. Sogetsu's SSM is something worth mentioning too. While it's still niche like any SSM, it's one of the best in the game behind Shiki's. It goes full screen and hits low, making it a great long-range punish option on top of the usual scenarios where you can land SSM. Sogetsu's game plan is based around one special, Moonrise, more commonly known as Bubble. It's a projectile that Sogetsu sets in place in order to trap the opponent in a mix-up. This is mainly done after the opponent's knocked down. The bubble is plus on block, still forcing the opponent to guess what Sogetsu's follow-up is going to be. On hit, the bubble essentially stuns the opponent, allowing Sogetsu to combo into another knockdown, starting the set play all over again. Sogetsu can also move the bubble to catch any opponent attempting to roll out of his mix and keep control of the screen. Sogetsu also has unblockable setups that he can use to combo into his weapon flip, SSM, and E-set. Wait, is it just me or is this sounding familiar? That's probably nothing. Besides Bubble, Sogetsu also has his Moon Glow special, aka the Water Pillar. This is his main combo ender, and the light version can also be used as an anti-air. On its own, it's a good way to keep control of the screen, since it's safe at a distance, and can halt anyone trying to run in. Since the Water Pillar knocks down, it also is another way for Sogetsu to set up his bubble. Sogetsu does have his share of problems to make up for his oppressive set play. Despite having one of the faster runs in the game, his walk speed is one of the slowest. His overall damage output is also pretty low. Despite having legitimate ways of comboing into his SSM and E-sen, these are still very niche and not something you'll see often. A typical Sogetsu combo won't net much damage on its own. Instead, he's going to take advantage of the mix-up he gets from knockdowns. While the mix is good, that does mean there's always an opening for your opponent to get out. Sogetsu's biggest problem is he still needs to get a knockdown in order to properly start his set play. Bubble has a very slow startup, making it very risky for Sogetsu to throw out in neutral. While his normals in Water Pillar are good, he still is forced to take risks in order to force the opponent into playing his game. If I were to describe Sogetsu in one word, it would be suffocating. Playing Sogetsu requires a lot of patience and awareness on your part, but a good Sogetsu will make you feel like you never get to play. The main character of SamSho 5, Yoshitoru, is a rush-down character that has a tool for almost everything. With 7 different specials and strong ways of moving forward, Yoshitoru has everything you could want to get in for big damage or a strong mix-up. Yoshitoru's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to his specials. He pretty much has a tool for everything. A DP? Check. A command grab? Check. A combo ender? Check. A combo ender that's also a time waster? Check. An air special mainly used as an overhead? Check. A call out against someone carelessly throwing out buttons? Check. A giant full screen fireball that Yoshi only gets access to after landing all his other specials and deals about 70% of your life? Sure, we'll count it. They all have their catches to them, and many are punishable on block, but having a large toolkit to work with is never a bad thing. Perhaps the most notable and infamous part of Yoshi's kit is his Jumping C. With its massive hitbox, it's one of, if not the best, Jumping C in the game. Depending on where it lands on hit, Yoshi can either get decent damage while staying on you, or get a full combo into big damage. And that's without talking about comboing into weapon flip. Yoshi's Jumping C gives him an edge he needs in neutral, as he can blow up ground pokes even from max height. If you can get your opponent scared enough to keep blocking, Yoshi can further enforce his mix-up game with run throw, his command grab, his 6D, etc. While stance breaking can beat it like any other jump in, the multiple hits makes it harder to time, and if you're wrong, you're eating a lot of damage. Your anti-airs need to be on point when fighting Yoshi, because if they're not, he's gonna find an opening eventually. Heck, Even if you do have a good anti-air game, Yoshi's jumping C is still going to build your mental stack up fast. With how strong his jumping C is, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Yoshi heavily depends on it. While the rest of his kit is by no means bad, he does have a harder time approaching without jumping C. I mentioned already that it could be hard to anti-air, but what happens when you're fighting a character and or player that can deal with it fine? Well, his far 5C is one of the worst normals in the game, so pretend that button isn't even there. He could use Tsubaki to call out slower buttons, but it's very punishable on whiff and block. Yoshi's gonna have to take risks to get in at some point. He'll need to take even more risks against anyone that can shut down his jumping C. But his damage and close range options make the risk worth it. Despite certain matchups, Yoshitora fares pretty well in the current meta. If you like having a variety of rushdown options, or this scenario looks funny to you, give Yoshitora a try. One of the most popular characters in the series, and SNK as a whole, Nakoruru is a hit-and-run specialist with fast movement and whiff punishes. She makes up for her low damage with her annoying pressure and ability to make many of her attacks safe thanks to her bird, Mamahaha. While Nako's normals are stubby, they're actually pretty good. Nako generally isn't trying to land a big hit confirm into a combo. Instead, she wants to harass you with smaller hits until you make a mistake for bigger damage. Her normals are generally very fast, including her 4-frame 6-6A, which is the fastest normal in the game. 6-6D has short range, but it's one of the safest slides in the game. 2B is a low, making it undeflectable, and it can be recoiled cancelled to make it safe. The general rule with Nako is that her normals are either very fast, very safe, or both. While she needs to get in, and this can be difficult against characters with great range, Nako's great at staying in with safe buttons and knowledge checks. Nako can use this pressure to study the opponent's tendencies and go for riskier but more rewarding options once they have a read like a deflect. Nako's overhead is also valuable for its deceptively good range and pairs well with lows like her 2B and 2D. Nakoruru's specials are mainly for punishing the opponent's openings or further extending her safety. Anu Mutsube, or as it's affectionately known by the community, Nako-Car, is a relatively fast, low-hitting slide that has very good range. While not very high in damage, it allows Nako to quickly punish the opponent for opening themselves up. The fact that it's a quarter circle down input might seem strange, especially to modern fighting game players, as it's definitely not a common input these days. But the advantage of this input is Nako's able to input this special while blocking. She can buffer this while on the defensive, and then let it rip once the opponent does something unsafe. Kamui Rimuse is a combo ender that also doubles as one of the best projectile reflex in the game. It's active enough that if you can reflect the fireball near the end of the move's animation, Nakoruru has enough time to recover and follow behind the reflected fireball for more pressure. Amube Yatoro is functionally Nako's fireball, as she sends Mamahaha towards the opponent. As a traditional fireball, it isn't very good, but it can nullify other fireballs and is non-reflectable. Ignore her. Amube Yatoro can be used after a recoil for frame traps or force trade scenarios if you're feeling ballsy. Nako's Bird Cling is arguably her most important special. It doesn't look like much, but this special can be performed after a recoil cancel, making many normals significantly safer. After certain normals, Nako's able to use Bird Cling to protect herself from lights or stance breaks. Along with special air normals she can only use in Bird Cling, Nako also has a few specials she can perform out of it. Kamuyum Katsupu, oh man, I definitely butchered that, lets her safely drop out of Bird Cling with an air normal. Kamui Mutsube is the Bird Cling's version of Nako-Car. Just like Nako-Car, it's a great whiff punish tool, but it's also a surprise overhead option and comboable from her Bird Cling normals. Nakoruru's weapon flip also deserves a mention for being one of the best in the game. It's one of the fastest at 8 frames, only 1 frame behind the actual fastest. On top of being a combo ender, its fast startup makes it another great whiff punish tool and anti-air. A more niche but very strong application for it is in trades. Off certain trades, the opponent won't lose their weapon like normal. However, they'll be stunned for long enough that Nako has time to recover and land her SSM. As far as I know, Nako's the only character in the game that gets this sort of interaction. While it is niche, it still pretty much guarantees her the round if she's able to land it. As for Nakoruru's flaws, I've already mentioned them a few times. She's a stubby character, so characters that have strong, longer range normals are going to be better at keeping her out. her damage output is pretty low. In Rage, she can put up some pretty respectable numbers, but outside of that, Nako often is going to need many more successful hits than the opponent to win. Nako needs to stay in if she wants to rack up small bits of damage to the opponent. But thankfully, her speed, pressure, and whiff punish options all give her that opportunity. She's definitely not a character for beginners. But if you're the type of player that likes to kill with 1,000 cuts, or you love the idea of constantly looking out for the opponent's tendencies, give Nakaruru a try. The main character of SamSho 3, Shizumaru, returns in SamSho 2019 as a highly technical character that rewards anyone willing to master him. At first glance, he's a Shodo-like character with some extra stuff like his umbrella float and a reflect. But this is only scratching the surface of what Shizu has. If you're only playing Shizu like a Shodo, you're not using him to his full potential, and that playstyle would be better suited for someone like Hamaru or Genjiro. Shizumaru comes with some decent ground normals, more on the shorter side due to his small size. He's got an okay fireball that doesn't reach full screen, a decent DP that is a bit janky as an anti-air, a reflect, this umbrella spin attack that's mainly a combo ender, and his SSM is one of the best in the game since it reaches full screen. Shizu's ground game is overall good, but where he really shines is in his air game. Using his umbrella float, aka Dreadful Drizzle, Shizumaru is arguably the best character in the air. Shizu gains greater control over where he lands, and he's great at stopping approach attempts using his Jumping B and Jumping C. With the right positioning, Shizu can bait out most anti-airs. DPs are generally pretty good in SamSho 2019 as anti-airs, but Shizu's able to beat out most attempts despite their invulnerability. At worst, he might trade with the DP, but this trade is still going to be in Shizu's favor. His Jumping B is a great air-to-air thanks to its horizontal hitbox, and when he's not on the offensive, he can use it to create a wall that's difficult to approach against. He also has an air version of his umbrella spin that knocks down and deals a decent bit of damage. It's punishable on block, but its fast startup offers some cheeky cross-up and instant overhead setups. If Shizumaru is facing someone with strong extended air-to-airs, it's a lot more difficult to set up his air game, and he'll need to rely more on the ground. His ground game is definitely not on the level of his air game, but Shizu's got one extra trick up his sleeve to make you respect him. Perhaps the most well-known piece of Shizu's kit is his Crazy Downpour Special, or Kirakuzan in Japanese, or KRZ for short, or Turnaround Punch if you're a Street Fighter player. Anyways, by holding down one of your attack buttons, you can charge up KRZ, and on release, Shizu will impale the opponent. The longer you hold the button, the better damage and properties it has. It can be comboed into, but the level 4 and 5 versions have invincibility as well, making them scary reversal options. With level 4 and 5, Shizu practically has SSM levels of damage that he can use when needed. As long as one of the 4 attack buttons are being held, you're charging KRZ, even in between rounds. Holding an attack button of course means that you can't use any normals or specials attached to that button, so you have to learn to switch between buttons on the fly to keep your charge. This can be executionally and mentally demanding, but the reward makes it worth it. Whether it's to make a comeback or cash out on a combo, mastering how to use KRZ is integral to learning Shizumaru, as it gives Shizu a trump card at any point in the match. Shizumaru has so many strong points about him that the biggest weakness he has is how difficult he is to optimize. In the game's current scene, he's not a popular character. His learning curve is one of the biggest in the game, and very daunting for anyone trying to start out. But if his kit appeals to you, you'll find one of the strongest characters in the game at the end of that road. Guest starring from SNK's other weapon-based fighting game involving samurai, Hibiki's the ultimate footsies character in SamSho 2019. The near-perfect blend of high damage and mid-range space control. Hibiki's very flexible as far as how you want to play her. Her combo game and damage lend to some great aggressive play. But her excellent normals and pink slashes offer her a great keep-away game too. 5B and 2B are similar disjointed normals with great range on them. 2B has the extra advantage of being faster and far cancelable into her specials. 6XB has good range, is one of her main combo tools, and is also great for recoil canceling. Her 6D is blessed with being one of the best slides in the game due to how safe Hibiki's able to space it. All of Hibiki's normals are varying levels of good. But the real meat of her strengths lie in her specials. The main special you'll be seeing from Hibiki is Distance Slash, aka Pink Slashes. All versions of Pink Slashes are long, disjointed specials that hit about mid-screen. The light and medium versions work well as combo enders, the medium version even knocking down. But the real threat of these versions is their ability to whiff punish. Hibiki doesn't extend her hurt box when throwing these moves out, and the light version has a very fast 8-frame startup. If you think your attack is safe because it has decent pushback, Hibiki will make you second guess yourself. That said, the light and medium Pink Slashes are unsafe on block and are very whiff punishable themselves. How is Hibiki supposed to control space with these? Well, that's what the heavy version is for. While slower than the other versions, it reaches further and is barely negative on block. Hibiki is able to create an effective wall by alternating between light and heavy Pink Slashes. The Rage version also deserves a mention, since not only is it relatively fast, reaches far, and has incredible pushback, it also deals great damage on its own. I've talked this long about Pink Slashes, but Hibiki's other specials aren't slouches either. Beckoning Slash, better known as Hakken, is a running attack that knocks down when hit in the front, and it has a pass-through version that can combo into her Pink Slashes and Weapon Flip. Holding the input for Hakken will have Hibiki run forward in an animation that looks exactly like her run. She can create a guessing game of whether she's running or holding Hakken, and if she's holding Hakken, whether she'll try to pass through the opponent or not. Heavenly Being Blade is Hibiki's counter that catches high and mid attacks, including specials and most weapon flips. Like most counters in the game, it can be tough to use effectively, but a successful counter allows Hibiki to combo into Pink Slashes or even her weapon flip. Hibiki's weapon flip deserves to be highlighted on its own, as it's arguably the best weapon flip in the game. Hibiki's an absolute monster in Rage, but the utility of her weapon flip amplifies that further. It's 10 frames, which may not be the fastest weapon flip in the game, but it isn't far off. Unlike other fast weapon flips though, the range on it is massive as Hibiki dashes across the screen. Hibiki has many ways of comboing into it, including from far normal. Its startup and range also make it an excellent whiff punisher and anti-air. Hibiki's weapon flip is the gold standard for weapon flips in the game. Combined with the damage output her optimal combos give her, Hibiki's arguably the scariest character to fight when in Rage. Hibiki's flaws are overall minor and mainly boil down to certain tools not being on the level of some characters. Her overhead is pretty mediocre by the game standards, and her air game is good, but maybe not on the level of her ground game. The quote-unquote worst thing about Hibiki is perhaps that her best combos are more execution heavy. Since many of her specials are unsafe on block, a mistimed combo could mean the end of the round for Hibiki. But if you're someone that prefers controlling the match with big buttons and specials, while also being rewarded for higher execution, Hibiki could be the character for you. The other and arguably more popular main character of SamSho 4, Kazuki is a resource-based rushdown powerhouse that moves fast and deals massive damage. Kazuki's great at bullying his way in, and smart use of his power-ups gives him arguably the highest damage output in the entire game. A definite contender for the top tiers, depending on where you are and who you're talking to, Kazuki's even considered the strongest character in the game. If you have doubts about that statement, a really good Kazuki can change your mind. While not the best in terms of range, Kazuki's normals have some excellent extended hitboxes that work great for counterpoking. Jumping B is a great air-to-air option for similar reasons, and Jumping C has deceptively good range despite how it appears, making it another great air-to-air option and also good for jump-ins. Kazuki's normals are complemented by his excellent speed. Kazuki's tied for both the fastest walk speed and fastest run speed in the game. Kazuki can move in and harass the opponent with his lights and kicks with ease and run away to hold a life lead just as well. The ability to move in quickly and harass with fast normals also gives Kazuki an excellent run-throw game. Hard to react to, and thanks to his power-up system, Kazuki's damage output from throw can range from pretty decent to downright terrifying. Kazuki's specials are well-rounded even when you don't take into account his power-ups. He's got a fireball that at base level is pretty whatever, but can power up to something fierce. Exploding Death is a great combo ender. Annihilating Flames, aka Exploding Pants, can work as an anti-air or a recoil cancel to surprise the opponent. I keep mentioning this power-up system, so let's finally get into it. Kazuki's kit is based around his special, Flames of Disaster. Kazuki stops in place to charge up a flame stock, being able to do this up to 3 times. These flame stocks buff his fireball and exploding death. You can choose the number of stocks you spend when using either special, and these immensely increase Kazuki's damage output. Kazuki's able to deal 40% of the opponent's health bar off of a kick if he's willing to spend his resources and still have enough time to get another stock. This isn't even optimal. He can do far better than this. The level 2 version of his fireball gives enough hit advantage that Kazuki can move in for a full combo, including landing his weapon flip. Some of these combos can be finicky, but these damage values speak for themselves. An optimal Kazuki can finish a round as fast as it started if he knows how to use his resources. Kazuki's flaws are overall minor. I mentioned already that despite all of the upsides to his normals, his range is still on the shorter end. He's able to manage this fine with how good his mobility is, but he will have some trouble dealing with characters that have longer pokes and/or strong screen control. Also, while not a real flaw per se, you really have to be careful in landing your combos with Kazuki. Many of his combos are space dependent, and careful knowledge of what will and won't land is crucial since none of Kazuki's specials are safe on block. Kazuki offers speed, damage, and even more damage. A character that's great at getting in your face, but also one that's good at playing an annoying hit-and-run game. Baiken's often considered the strongest character in the game, but Kazuki's considered top 1 in Japan. If you watch the 2025 SNK World Championship, it's easy to understand why. If you love momentum and rushdown, Kazuki's your guy.
ちょっと待ちな。
Here comes a daredevil!
待ってたぜ。さあ、抜きな。てめえの浮世はここでしまいだよ。
Hailing from Guilty Gear, Baiken is SamSho 2019's final guest character and final DLC character in general. And oh man, does she make a big impression. Baiken is a mid-range powerhouse with strong normals and specials that let her switch between offense or defense on the fly. Baiken is considered the strongest character in the game in many parts of the world, and is still considered a top 4 character in Japan. Whatever strong tool you can think of, great normals, great keep away, great damage, great mix, Baiken has it in some shape or form. Her weaknesses are minor enough that I can cover them pretty quickly. Although she has a variety of great pokes, she has some stubby normals in close range that can lose out against certain characters that are notably strong up close. She'll also have a harder time moving in on characters that have a strong ground poke game. While she has some long pokes of her own, a few can feel more committal against some characters. And her SSM is the shortest ranged SSM in the game, meaning there are certain scenarios where SSM would normally be guaranteed, she's forced to go for a weaker option. This technically makes it one of, if not the worst SSM in the game. Now, do these weaknesses slow her down at all? Of course not, you saw the thumbnail. Anyways, let's look into what makes Baiken so strong. Starting with her normals, Baiken only has one arm, but that doesn't stop her from having some insanely good normals. We'd be here all day if I went into a deep dive into all of her normals because they're all varying levels of strong. Why did they give her a Guilty Gear 6P? I don't understand. So I'll highlight some more notable ones. First, her overhead, which is a contender for the best overhead in the game. Great range, disjointed, and very hard to punish too. There's very little in the game that can punish it for big damage, so Baiken gets a lot of mileage just throwing it out. Next, there's her 2C. Amazing for whiff punishing and catching people not blocking low. She can even low profile some attacks with it. Just like her overhead, it's difficult to punish when spaced. Together, these normals give Baiken a scary high-low game in mid-screen that few characters can really contest. The third god normal we're highlighting is her 2B. Incredible range, good startup for medium, and it's both difficult to punish and difficult to counterpoke. While it can be punished hard by a well-timed jump, this normal is a huge factor in Baiken's mid-screen presence. Oh, and the thing that all 3 of these normals share? All of them are non-deflectable, so the reward for throwing these out eclipses any risks they may have. The last normal we'll talk about is her Jumping B. The range it covers gives Baiken excellent screen control. When used in conjunction with the other normals I mentioned, Baiken's able to effectively move in as well as give her strong coverage for whenever she needs to hang back as well. Baiken's normals are complemented by a strong set of specials. Kabari is a grappling hook that can travel half screen, and she gets 3 different follow-ups off it both on hit and on whiff. Its great range and little block disadvantage makes it an excellent frame trap tool, and helps Baiken stay aggressive even when she's further away. Yozan-sen is an unreactable overhead special that, while unsafe on block, is a nice surprise option against anyone crouching too much. It covers both sides of Baiken and can even be used unarmed. The final special we'll talk about, and the likely cause of my brain aneurysm, is Tatami Gaishi. Baiken slams down a tatami mat that launches into a full combo on hit and is an excellent wall for whenever Baiken wants to hang back. She can use Tatami Gaishi both on the ground and in the air, both versions being very active. She can't completely use it risk-free due to its startup, but the active frames and ground versions on hit reward will force nearly everybody to stop what they're doing and figure out how to move back in. Baiken's known for her strong defense in Guilty Gear, and moves like Tatami Gaishi help her transition well to the slower-paced gameplay of Samurai Shodown. Baiken being a defensive beast is expected, but her specials help give her some of the best offense in the game as well. Baiken has virtually everything you can want in a SamSho character. In a way, despite being from another game, Baiken has become the de facto face of SamSho 2019 for many players. Her strength is something that can't be denied. But while I may joke about how strong she is, and she's pretty BS, trust me, she's not strong to the point of ruining the game for me. She's a matchup you'll have to prepare for, but I don't think it's an impossible one either. There are still so many other characters I haven't talked about. While the strengths of these characters have been proven, there are even more strong characters in the cast. I may even do a video on these other high-tier picks in the future. With how small the scene is, there are definitely characters that haven't been explored to their full potential. If it hasn't been made clear between this video and my low tiers video, I love SamSho 2019's cast. It's a well-varied roster that caters to many different playstyles, and they're really fun to play. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've never played SamSho 2019, definitely give it a try. Maybe one of these characters is the right one for you. Special thanks to the players I reached out to and the Mizumi Wiki for info. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.